So, today we're diving into the 2025 UN Human Development Report. It's this really fascinating look at the choices we're all facing as artificial intelligence becomes, well, a massive part of our lives. And it kicks off with a pretty stark warning. Right out of the gate, the report hits us with this powerful paradox. You've got technology just racing forward, promising to completely redefine our future. But at the very same time, the ways we measure human progress, things like health, education, our standard of living, have pretty much stalled. And that's the core tension we really need to understand here.
And this isn't just a feeling. The data absolutely backs this up. See that blue line? That's the Global Human Development Index, the HDI. For decades, it was just on this steady upward climb. But then, after 2020, it just flatlined. The report projects this stall has pushed our progress back not just by a few years, but by decades.
And that really brings us to our first section. The report calls this a world off balance, where we have these incredible, mind-bending technological leaps happening right alongside this really concerning human stagnation. And listen, this isn't just an isolated problem happening in one or two places. It's everywhere, as you can see right here, from the Arab states to sub-Saharan Africa. Every single region has seen its progress just fall right off that pre-2020 trend line. And that makes this whole conversation about AI's role even more urgent. Okay, so with that pretty serious backdrop, how are we supposed to think about AI? Well, the report argues that our public conversation is basically trapped in what it calls the replacement narrative. It feels like we're always swinging between these two wild extremes. On one side, you've got the utopian promise, right? That AI is just going to magically solve every single one of our problems. And on the other, you've got the dystopian fear that it's going to replace all our jobs and basically destroy our freedoms. It's always presented as this all-or-nothing future. But here's the report's central argument. Both of those views are profoundly misleading. They make us feel like we're just passive bystanders, as if the future is this thing that just happens to us. And they completely ignore the single most important factor, our own choices. And that is where the whole conversation pivots. This isn't about what AI will do. It's about what we choose to do with it. The future of AI is, at its core, a matter of choice. This quote just nails it. The crucial point is that we are in the driver's seat. It's people who decide which technologies get the funding, how they're designed, and who ultimately gets to benefit. Technology doesn't have its own destiny. We're the ones who give it one. So this all boils down to a really fundamental choice. Are we going to focus on automation, which is just about replacing human tasks with machines? Or are we going to focus on augmentation, using AI as a tool to expand what we humans are capable of? The report argues that this is the key distinction. And the big idea here, the goal, is a concept they call complementarity. Instead of seeing this as some kind of zero-sum game between us and AI, we should focus on the differences. It's right there, in what we do well and what machines do well, that we can create these powerful synergies that make the whole so much greater than the sum of its parts. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, right? But if it's all about choice, what are the right choices? Well, the report doesn't just leave us with a theory. It actually lays out a concrete playbook with 3 key strategies for an AI-augmented future. So first, build an economy based on that idea of complementarity, where people and AI are actually collaborating. Second, drive innovation with intent. And what that means is we should be actively steering AI development to solve real human problems, not just, for its own sake. And third, invest in the human capabilities that are really going to matter in this new world. And what's really, really encouraging is that it seems like people around the world already get this. This chart shows expectations from a global survey. See that shaded blue area? That represents where more people expect augmentation than automation. And look, almost all the dots are in that blue zone. People want tools that help them, not just replace them. But of course, it's not quite that simple. The report really stresses that AI's impact is not going to be the same for everyone. Context is everything. Who you are, where you live, and your age, all of that dramatically shapes how you experience this technology. And this data right here tells such a complex story. I mean, look, on the left you see that students are using AI mostly for education, while the workforce is using it for work. But then you look to the right and you see this alarming trend. Young people's mental well-being has declined sharply, and it coincides with the rise of smartphones and social media.
It's a stark reminder of how deeply opportunity and risk are tangled up together. And we have to talk about bias, because this is a big one. This chart shows the cultural alignment of ChatGPT's answers. The higher the bar, the more its answers reflect the values of that particular group. And just notice how much more aligned it is with very high HDI countries than with low ones. This creates a huge risk of exporting a very specific set of cultural values and actually deepening the global divides we already have. So, what does this all mean? It means the story of AI hasn't been written yet. The report's conclusion is crystal clear. This is our future to write. So the path forward is pretty clear. We've got to shift our focus from just replacement to complementarity. We have to steer innovation with real purpose, invest in human skills for this new world, and, maybe most importantly, reject this idea that any of this is inevitable. At the end of the day, this is the message. The future of AI isn't about gadgets or algorithms just floating around in a vacuum. It's about us. It's about our values, our priorities, and the choices we make to shape a world that actually serves everyone. And the report leaves us with this final, powerful thought. If AI really is like a mirror, reflecting our society, its biases, its aspirations, then the most important question isn't what the mirror will show us in the future. It's what are we, right now, choosing to show it.